welcome to Random Fandom Chats. I'm Tandra.
I'm Dee Dee.
And this is Annabeth. And here we talk about pretty much anything and everything fandom related. Could be books, comics, TV, movies, games, whatever. And we're going to depart from our regular format today just a little bit because every once in a while we've decided that we're going to do some special episodes, either because there's something special going on or just something we'd like to talk about. And today's Valentine's Day.
So today we're going to talk about romance and couples in fiction. Now, while we were thinking of this episode, we honestly had a lot of problem thinking of really epic romances, especially in science fiction.
Right. Ones that we really particularly liked for whatever reason. Now, we did come up with a couple of ones that we thought definitely fit the category of an epic romance. That had everything in it that we would want.
Everything we want. We would have conflict, them going through hardship together, but staying together. That was honestly the main problem, is finding couples that actually stayed together.
Generally, something happened. They would break up over something and never get back together, or one of them would die, it seemed like. So
yeah. So, minor spoiler alert for some of these series, because some of these characters didn't get together, until later in the series. Now, the first on our list are Delenn and Sheridan from Babylon 5.
We thought this had everything it needed. They were deeply in love. They had lots of problems staying together.
They had respect for each other. They were equals.
They were. And they made it through everything, including death, to get together and be together, and they were going to be together forever.
And I think that they really just complement each other as people and as a couple in general. I think they really did, because of course she's a very strong person, but of course she's more political, she's more spiritual, and he's a little bit more, militaristic and a little bit more commanding and whatnot. But both of them have a lot of the same good qualities, like I said, very peaceful, very peace-driven and kind and strong. So I think they just really complement each other well.
And the scenes with them were some of the best and funniest of the episode.
It's so precious.
and so you just wanted to smile when you saw them.
Whenever you saw them on screen, you're like, oh, they're so cute.
Yeah. So as far as epic romances go, theirs probably tops the list for my all-time.
Especially in science fiction specifically.
Correct.
Because many
there's
times
great romances everywhere else, but
right, because especially in science fiction, characters always want to seem to break up with each other.
It's the Joss Whedon effect.
I guess.
He doesn't think that anybody can stay together.
Right? He just wants to break everybody apart or have such and such die or whatever. But not these two. And they better not come out with, like, movies or books or something else that ruins the couple for me. They better not.
What's nice about Babylon 5, because of the way the whole story arc went, you kind of knew their whole story.
Good.
Which was nice. I mean, you knew the whole thing. You didn't just break off where there could be more written. I mean, there could be more written in between, but you knew their whole beginning, middle, and end. You got it all. So you got their whole story, which was great. Okay, there was another couple that we ran across that we thought pretty much fit the epic couple storyline. Not quite as... haven't gone through quite as many hardships in some ways, but on the other hand, they're still young.
Yeah. Then this is Percy and Annabeth from the Rick Riordan series, or books.
Actually, both series so far, and they've been in even a third series he's writing, so...
Yeah. So, of course, like we said, this is a much younger couple. They got together in their teenage years, so there's probably still room for this relationship to be ruined somehow, but
hopefully not.
I have faith that Rick Riordan will keep these two together.
I think he will.
Because he has really established this really deep, meaningful love between them. And again, if it's the criteria of they've been through a lot together, they've literally been through hell together.
Right.
That's part of the reason why I chose this book in specific to have on our table here is House of Hades, is because they literally are in Tartarus together.
Right, and they get through it, and they go through everything together, and they're snippy with each other, but they're also
cute with each other.
They complement each other well.
Again, they have their differences, but they're not clashing differences that make it almost impossible for them to be together. And their good sides really complement each other well.
Right.
And
their
whatnot.
strengths in battle are great, and when they each have their own problems or insecurities, the other one comes in and rallies them around and does what a couple should do together. So I really like them together as a couple.
One thing that I really liked about them is I love relationships that are based off of friendship first. I'm not a huge fan of the whole insta-love thing. I'm not a fan of them falling in love almost immediately. Sometimes I'm okay with that, but for the most part, I just think it's unrealistic. And I think that a romance based off of friendship first can just make for some of the strongest bonds ever in a lot of ways. And they really did have that friendship first. Yeah, you saw almost instantly from the first time they met, yeah, they're probably going to get together.
Well, there's chemistry and attraction, which is almost always going to be there.
Right, there's always going to be some chemistry and attraction there at first, but you still saw them as friends first. And I think that was, I really liked that part of it.
Right. But honestly, as we were sitting here trying to think of what we thought of, those were the only two that kind of just sprang to mind to us. There might be some others out there, so when you guys give us your comments and opinions, maybe you guys can think of some, and we can mention them in future episodes, because I was having a really hard time. Now, we did think of some couples that we thought were pretty good together, but for some reason or not, they didn't quite hit the epic level or the level that we, think of, and a lot of that...
Not quite the same level as we think of these two parents.
Right. Now, let's see, who did we come up with?
We came up with Picard and Eileen.
Picard and Eileen from... It was only one episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, and it was the 25th episode of the 5th season, and it's called The Inner Light. And that, for those of you who may not remember that episode specifically, it's the one where Picard gets hit by a probe, and it happens to be a probe from a planet who's long dead, and he basically lives out a whole lifetime within like 20-25 minutes or so. And he has a wife, and then they end up with a daughter and a grandchild, and he goes through a whole lifetime. And it kind of affected Picard throughout the rest of his life.
It really changed him.
It did. And at first, he was resisting everything because he remembers the Enterprise the whole time.
He thought that all this was just some weird trick.
Right. And he's trying to save the planet, which, later on you find out it can't be saved. It was going to die anyway. It was already dead. But he ends up loving his wife and loving his family. And
well, it was so interesting to see a character like that in such a different environment and a different lifestyle, because he's in a lifestyle now where he has even said that he doesn't really feel like he should have a family or that really deep, home life and love and whatnot. So it was interesting to see him get that.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a superhero. They don't really feel like they can have something like that. So it's interesting to see them be able to have a life like that.
So that was kind of one that kind of came to mind. What was another one we had that?
Well, for anybody who's seen the movie Starman, which came out in the 80s, I believe,
or very early 80s. Don't know the exact date, but it's very early 80s. It's Starman. It has...
I can't remember the actors' names, but the characters we're talking about are Jenny and Scott. Right. Now, the basic story of the movie is that this alien Starman comes to Earth, and he takes on the appearance of this human's long-deceased husband. And she ends up helping him on his mission.
Right.
And... again, it's a movie, and you don't really see a lot of their relationship. It's kind of just a few day thing.
They fall in love, but really she's in love because it's her husband.
But he is really sweet.
He's very sweet.
He's very
She's teaching him about humans, whatever, and of course he gives her a baby, which is way awesome. Because she didn't get that, and it's her husband's baby too, which is. Even better. So that was kind of they didn't get to stay together because, of course,
Well, like you said, there's a little bit of, because she's mostly feeling feelings for him because he looks like her dead husband. So
his personality's coming through, too, and that's pretty cool.
And she also falls in love with his personality, too, I think.
Right. So that was kind of an interesting romance and kind of cool.
Very unique.
Yeah.
It was a very unique romance. I think is why it kind of resonated with us a little bit.
And then what's another one we got there? Kind of similar to that one.
Yeah, we got Sarah and Kyle from the Terminator movies.
The reason why that one didn't hit the epic list was mostly just because they didn't get to stay together.
Yeah, that and
they fell in love really fast. Which we have a little problem with a lot of the time.
It's kind of like Romeo and Juliet. It's like, you've only known each other for like 5 days.
It is sad that they don't get to stay together, but they have this connection that they have throughout all time, it seems like, no matter what.
She never forgets him.
She never forgets
really
him.
gets over him.
And it was like they were made to be together. They need to be together. You know, they, of course, have, you know, Connor. And so you're just like...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really important. So that one would hit the epic list, but because of the couple of other, you know, shortfalls, it didn't quite get there, but it's almost there.
Now, one that you guys would probably be actually surprised to hear on our would-be list was Lois and Clark.
Lois and Clark. That one comes really close to being epic.
Right.
Most of the time, they're incarnations that are out there in movies, TV, comics. They're have a really close relationship.
Yeah, they're portrayed pretty much as soulmates.
Yeah, they're pretty much soulmates. What you know, very few times do they not get to stay together. There's a couple of storylines in which they don't, but for the most part,
they just ignore those.
They
comics.
do. You know, the Lois and Clark TV show, they're really awesome and cool together. And in some incarnations, they have children, like in that, and in the comics. Of course, in the old movies from the 70s, you know, he gives up his powers for her.
Right.
You know, so they have a really good, and it's a really, really close to the epic, but there was one thing that kind of
sometimes Lois really annoys us.
She's really kind of just a pain.
Yeah, sometimes I'm almost sitting here
like,
wondering,
why do you love her?
Exactly. Sometimes I really am just sitting here like, I love Lois Lane, but it's like, why are you so in love with her, Clark?
Yeah, I don't get it. Why?
Because she's really mean to him, especially at first. She can be very mean to him. Of course, she gets better. I think that his Boy Scout tendencies kind of rub off on her in a lot of ways. But at first, she's almost always really mean to him.
I know.
And almost kind of a bully to him.
Yes, I was like, really? Are they supposed to be?
So I think really just like the rockiness of their relationship at first is pretty much the only thing that doesn't make them the really epic couple.
Yeah, they're real close otherwise.
Yeah. Now we also have a few couples who we would have really, really loved to see more of. We would have loved to see them stay together, but for whatever reason, they didn't.
And so they definitely would have hit the epic list if their relationship had not fallen by the wayside for whatever reason.
Right. The first on this list is Angel and Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Once again, the Joss Whedon effect. Nobody could stay together. Nobody could be happy. They all had to be miserable at some point in time.
Or just be miserable for the rest of their lives.
Or just be miserable the rest of their life. So I thought that their relationship was probably... They seemed to be soulmates.
Yeah, they really did.
And then next thing you know, everything's bad.
Everything's awful.
They're not together.
He's turned evil for a while. When he turns back, he goes away because he doesn't want to hurt her and whatnot.
It's just, everything went bad. And so forget that one even being really good. It could have been. If they stayed together.
And it's just... I don't even really know why I love their relationship so much in a lot of ways.
Well, because, I mean, Angel was... Especially when he was evil, Angel was awful.
Right, and really, he only started to become good reluctantly. Now, eventually he did grow into a person who was genuinely good.
Right.
But for a long time, he wasn't really good or evil. He was just kind of... He was like, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Of course, by the time he met Buffy, he was an actual, genuine good person.
It just seemed like they brought out really good characteristics in each other.
Well, and of course, you also have just, like, the forbidden love aspect because she's a vampire slayer and he's a vampire.
Right, so that part makes it kind of epic even of that self that the two
that
are supposed to love each other.
Yeah, you gotta love the whole forbidden love thing.
Right. So if they could have stayed together, that would have been...
They would have been the coolest power couple ever. I think.
They would have been really, really cool. What's another? We had a couple more, I think.
One that I myself really wanted to add to the list was Nymphadora Tonks and Remus Lupin from Harry Potter.
Yes. She ended up killing them both, which we're not going to put them in the epic thing because they stayed totally in love till the day they died, but...
Yes, maybe, but they like we said, they didn't really have a lot of time together.
They didn't.
You know, I've always really thought that they probably fell in love off screen during the time of the 5th book. because by the time we get to the 6th book, it's already the beginning of the 6th book, and Tonks is very depressed because Remus has basically said we can't be together because I'm too dangerous and too emo.
Right. So yeah, I mean, obviously
they had a lot of problems because of him rejecting her love and feeling like she deserved better and whatnot. But eventually they do get together, and they even have problems with their marriage because
he leaves her while she's
pregnant. But
he's like, "What are you doing?"
But after Harry talks some sense to him, he finally decided, you know what, now I need to go back and be with my wife. And so I think that's part of the reason why I really like their relationship, is because it wasn't all just flowers and butterflies and perfect from the very beginning. They had some really meaningful hardships together, and they so very deeply loved each other.
Right.
And of course, I really love how their personalities are, again, they complement each other and they're totally different. She's very bubbly and positive, and for somebody like Remus, who has had so much heartache in his life, having somebody like that in his life, I think really...
It was really special.
It was
The
special.
fact they died, they might have made it too, because they had it all the way until then.
But they were only married for like a year.
Yeah, it was very short.
So sad.
So it makes it hard to be epic when you're only together for such a short time.
Right. Okay, another one we kind of wanted to add to the list would be Worf and Jadzia from Star Trek.
Now, once again, she dies, which I
much
really loved Ezri Dax when she came along. I know a lot of people don't.
I love both Daxes.
So I loved them both.
I love them both.
But I really liked their relationship, and they could have been really awesome forever, but then, of course, she had to die because she left the show.
She died right when she got pregnant, which was the even worst
They
part.
were getting ready to be pregnant anyway. They were trying. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what made that one kind of go down for me, is that they didn't get to stay together.
I really just thought,
she had to die.
when I first saw their relationship, I honestly wasn't sure of it at first. It always seemed just a little bit random to me, because, of course, she has a connection with some Klingons because of, her past lives and whatnot. Yeah. But it kind of always just seemed a little bit random to me. But then as I saw their relationship actually progress, I was like, okay, yeah, they're kind of sweet together, and they're really kind of cool. And I love how he's just so, straight back and, must observe the rules. And she's all like, I want to party, dude.
Yeah. And he loved her so much that he just dealt with it all. And there were some great scenes with them, and their marriage, of course, was awesome. And so the whole thing there. So yeah, if she hadn't had to die, I think that one might have made it.
Yeah, they might have made it to epic proportions, maybe. Although the series didn't last very long after she died, so we probably wouldn't have even been able to see their relationship for very much longer, even if she hadn't died.
Yeah, but they had one for quite a while. I mean, Worf wasn't on Deep Space Nine, that long, but for a while. So they'd had. So if she'd been able to stay on the show and they'd kept their relationship going, it might have hit that status, or pretty close to it. And I think that was what we came up with.
Yeah, I was actually very surprised to, think of these relationships and come up really short in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It was really interesting to think about how so many couples in fiction just end in tragedy.
Yeah, they don't get to stay together. I mean, there's a place for that sometimes. And even the ones that didn't hit the epic because they died or whatever, they were great. I mean,
they were still great while they were alive,
right?
or while they were together.
Except for the ones that we didn't understand why they had to break up, like Buffy and Angel.
Exactly. Well, okay, there were reasons, but they were like, shut up, quit being emo. You can be together.
Yeah, I know, right?
Why do these men always have to be so emo about everything? I have to be away from you to protect you. Shut up. You're literally with somebody whose job is to slay vampires. You're fine.
Get over yourself, dude. But anyway, yeah. So that's what we've come up with. So we'd like to hear anything that you guys might come up with.
Oh yeah, definitely share your, as those in fandom say, OTPs. Definitely share some of those in the comments. Tell us why you like them. Say if you agree with anybody on our list. Say if you think that we should have put somebody on the list. Yeah. All right, and happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Yeah. We'll see you again in a few days.